Welcome back to Big Bookie, presented by Big Banter Sports,
Yeah.
your home for anything and everything Big Ten sports. And this feels like our Super Bowl, gentlemen. We finally got to bowl season. Obviously, we've got some college hoops going on, but everybody's sitting on their couch this weekend and watching those football games. And we've got some exciting ones coming up. So starting tonight, the big game tonight, obviously we have Ohio State and Missouri. This should be a very good game. Big Ten versus SEC doesn't get better than this. And Ohio State opens as a 5.5 point favorite. Chris, let's start with you. Are you taking that line, and do you have any other bets for this game?
Yeah, very interesting line. This line, I think, has seen the most movement of any of these bowl games, especially in the Big Ten. I think it opened up with Ohio State about a 6 point favorite, got all the way down for multiple weeks with Ohio State at plus money. And then I woke up this morning, we're back up to 5.5. I think what it tells me is that a lot of these players are probably going to play. I think Marvin Harrison might be the only one that's kind of on the fence. I would still lean towards him not playing, but I think just having everyone else out there, I think this is a big game for the Ohio State program. I think we talked a couple weeks ago about the transfer portal, what that might look like, and Ohio State really has not dove into that. I think at quarterback, they've really looked at what's in their locker room, and it doesn't feel like they're going to go after anybody from the transfer portal specifically. So being able to see, okay, what can Devin Brown do against an SEC defense that doesn't have any opt-outs, and all these guys are playing, what can Lincoln Kienholz potentially do? I think it's going to be exciting to see what the Ohio State offense is able to produce, and I think they're going to play well. I think having all the weapons there, I think Missouri is a very good team, but I think among some of these other SEC teams, Missouri does not stack up to what I would consider Georgia and Alabama, or even in that Ole Miss territory. So I think it's a very winnable game for us. I think the key for Missouri will be Luther Burden, who's a very, very good receiver, very athletic. Schrader has been very good for them this year at quarterback. Missouri can put up points. So I do think this could be a little bit of a track meet, but I do like Ohio State tonight to win, and I like them to cover. I think they go out and they play pretty well to be able to win this game by about touchdown, 10 points. Shouldn't be a blowout. Missouri is a solid team, and this is a big game for them. But I think Ohio State, as we've talked about, the bowl track record outside of the playoff in the playoff era is very, very good. So I do lean on Ohio State to continue that tonight.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna sleep on this game like maybe some other teams would consider, like, oh, if it's not the playoffs, we're not gonna try, we're not gonna participate. I don't think that's the culture at Ohio State, and I think I'm excited to see all of the young receivers and guys that are going to get the opportunity with a few people sitting out. And with the transfers, obviously, I was a little nervous with you're losing Kyle McCord. You're going to have a lot of people sitting for the draft. But I think it goes both ways. Missouri is going to have, I think, both of their top two defensive players are sitting out on their line. So that's going to have a huge impact. And I think that from what I've seen with Devin Brown, a lot of the practices, I think this is going to be a way for him to really be in the spotlight. Like, I think he got in a few plays, he had some flashes this year, but this is your moment, and it's like this is the perfect time for him to seize that opportunity. And I think they're going to be coached well. I think Ryan Day believes in his guys. Like you said, he hasn't gone out into that transfer portal or trying to bring other guys in. I think this is he believes in who he recruits, and this is the purest test against one of the better defenses. Obviously, it's not Alabama or Georgia in the SEC, but it's still an SEC. They have to play those teams and they have to get through the regular season. So obviously, they're a very talented team, but I think I'm going to have to take Ohio State with
Yeah,
the points.
pause. Can we stop sucking the SEC defenses? Because we can act like the SEC is like that, but the Big Ten's undefeated in bowl season so far. The Big Ten defenses, that's how we play football. We're used to, I mean, these guys might be athletic. It doesn't mean more. It does not mean more. They shouldn't even be in the playoff. Fuck the SEC. Their defenses are not like that. And this is it's no challenge. We've played much better defenses this year. Ohio State has. I mean, I say we. I'm not a part of the team, but a massive supporter of the team, as you can tell with my OSU gear. Another point I'd like to make: this is our last Ohio State game day in about 8 months. So where the hell are your guys' mimosas? This isn't really much of a mimosa. I was lacking ingredients. No orange juice today, so I had to use an orange energy drink to make a mimosa. Putrid, but it gets the job done. My locks for today's game, I that line at 5.5, I like it. but I don't love it. I feel like this could be a game where OSU wins by a field goal. It's going to be a lower scoring game, in my opinion, just because, Devin Brown out there, it's his first game starting. He's probably not going to go out and just light it up. And Ohio State has most of their defensive players playing. I think JT Tuimoloau is the only one kind of on the fence, but wouldn't be surprised to even see him suit up. But we've got the whole secondary out there, aside from Lathan Ransom, who's injured. We've got a good pass rush, all of our linebackers in the game. This defense doesn't give up many points, and that line being at 50, I really, really like the under here. And then a little player prop, little touchdown prop for you guys. Devin Brown anytime touchdown is at plus 250. I think Ryan Day is really going to utilize his scrambling. When he was healthy earlier in the year, they started to kind of mix him in red zone packages. They had him running a lot just to kind of, McCord didn't have the legs. Devin Brown does. He adds that different element to the offense. I think they're really going to utilize that, especially in the red zone. I really like that plus 250 odds on Devin Brown scoring touchdown tonight.
I like it. Brandon, anything to add on this game?
You guys have some great takes here. I already locked in Ohio State at plus money when they did. When we did not know who was playing for the Buckeyes. I will also be betting on that spread tonight because, come on. We got everyone playing. Marv might even be playing. And I think Devin Brown shows everyone why I bet him to win the Heisman before he lost the starting job to start the season. So, yeah, Buckeyes all the way. I'm going to be touching that touchdown prop as well, Brent. Great call.
All right. First game on the Saturday slate, we've got Ole Miss and Penn State. Penn State opens as a -4.5 point favorite, over under at 48.5. Brant, we can start with you. Are you going to be betting on this game? Do you like the line?
Well, yeah, I think I lean towards Ole Miss plus 4.5. And that's just because of Penn State's got a few guys opting out, some of their better players. At least I think Fashanu has to be opting out. I haven't really read too much into who's opting out on their defense, but I would assume probably some of those guys that are, first round, second rounders are probably not playing. I need to double check into that. But I do like that plus 4.5 just because of the quarterback discrepancy we're looking at. I like Jackson Dart a lot more than I like Drew Aller. Drew Aller has just proven he can't really step up in big situations when he's called on. And against a team like Ole Miss, I just don't think he has the juice to outpower these guys when he's gonna need to make big throws. He's gonna need to make big plays. Penn State can't win the way they win against those lesser Big Ten opponents, just grounding and pounding and playing through their defense. When they're playing against a better opponent here in Ole Miss. And another lock I've got cooked up for you guys. A little parlay. You know me, I don't like taking parlays, but this one was too good to pass up. Plus 194 odds if you put Quinshon Judkins and Katron Allen to score a touchdown together. And I know this is a game that might be more defensive than not, but Katron Allen punches it in every time Penn State's on the goal line. And Quinshon Judkins has 15 touchdowns on the year. He's a touchdown machine. He prints money. So I like that one. Plus 194 odds. Did take it and do advise that you all take it as well.
I think I'm going to have to tail. I like that one. I think, like Brent said, this is going to be low scoring. And I don't think it's going to get outside of that 4.5 point swing. I think it's going to be like a 3 point or 4 point game. And that's why I like Ole Miss. Brant hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of opt-outs. That defense isn't going to look like it did during the season when they played. So, Chris, where are you at on this game?
Yeah, agree with you guys. And I touched on it a little bit before. Ole Miss, I do really like. I like that program. I think the fact that really their only losses this year have been to Georgia and I believe Alabama. They're very good. That's a good team. Judkins is a great player. They don't have any opt-outs. I think Lane Kiffin has that program moving in the correct trajectory. And I think this is a big game for them on a national spotlight to beat a team that struggles offensively and defensively is going to have opt-outs. I have looked and seen that a couple of those guys won't be playing. So I do like Ole Miss in this one to cover. I might sprinkle the money line there as well. And then I like the under, the 48.5. I know we touched on as well. I just don't see that many points being thrown up in this game, even though I do like Jackson Dart. I don't see it being a trap meet. I see Ole Miss taking a lead and letting Judkins just kind of run the ball, try to melt clock and force Solar to have to go do something and make some plays, which to this point, we really haven't been able to see him do against a ranked team.
Brandon, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, forget the points. We're taking Ole Miss money line. This is a program that is on the rise, and I think is going to be a part of this 12-team playoff quite often under Lane Kiffin. So if they get the lead, I just don't see it. Aller being able to throw to win the game, and I think Ole Miss does take the lead early, and they don't look back. I think Ole Miss wins this game. If you're scared, I guess you can take them to cover, but they're winning this game tomorrow.
I love the confidence. All right, so the game after Tuesday or Saturday at 2 p.m., we've got Maryland and Auburn. Maryland opens as a 6.5-point dog. Brandon, what are your thoughts on this game? Oh, and the over-under is 47.5 for this one.
Oh man, that is not. I don't know how I feel about this game. Maryland has been so up and down this year, but then on the flip side, you got the SECs, Maryland and Auburn, doing the same exact thing. They can look like one of the better teams competing with Alabama being a 4th and 31 away from winning. Just like Maryland almost knocked off Michigan. It's going to be a game where I think it's going to be closely contested. So 6.5. I'd like to get 7, but 6.5. I think Maryland is a reasonable play. So we're going to go Maryland there.
Interesting. Chris, what are your thoughts on this game? I think this one for me is just going to be an avoid. I don't know enough about these teams, and Maryland scares me too much.
This is kind of an icky bowl game. This to me feels like a pre-Christmas bowl game. You know, you have a 7-5 deceptive Auburn team that played Alabama really well, but I think outside of watching them, they've not looked spectacular this year. I think they've underwhelmed. And then Maryland has played actually really well against the teams they're supposed to beat, but then when playing bigger teams, you know, they've kind of hung around, but just haven't been terrific. I think without Talea out there, that's a huge difference. I think Talea at quarterback for Maryland was really good and kind of the heart of that program. And now you have Edwards coming in to play quarterback who's not started a game. I know he's played limited reps in games. I know he's kind of their QB sneak guy. Don't really love that. They also lost. Maryland has their best linebacker in the transfer portal, which I think is interesting. So kind of a tough one to bet. I will say the public is 75% on Auburn, and Auburn winning a touchdown just feels like a lot to me for like a very public bet. So I guess if I had to lean, I would lean for Maryland to cover. But even then, I don't know what they're going to look like with a freshman and a quarterback and not Talea. I think this team really depended on Talea to kind of bail them out in a lot of situations, especially when they were trailing. And without him out there, I think it could be a very different look. I do think, and this is a popular theme on this podcast, the Big Ten under here looks pretty good. I don't trust the Auburn offense. I don't trust Maryland's offense at all without Talea. I think 47.5 feels like a lot of points in a bowl game. This is one of those few bowl games that's going to be played in 40-degree weather. It's outside in Tennessee, so I don't think there's any rain, but I know we have some snow in the forecast kind of coming this way soon. So like might have a little bit of rainy, sleety snow. We'll see what that ends up looking like, but kind of a cold weather, nasty bowl game. I don't see like there being a big home field advantage, even though it's closer to Auburn. I would lean towards the under as the play there.
I love it. I mean, Maryland's going to have more experience playing in cold weather, so that may even help. Brant,
sure.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, going off a few points that Chris made. So Chris said Talia kind of bails Maryland out when they're up against the wall. I'd argue that he bails out opposing defenses when Maryland's up against the wall. The man is a walking interception. So not having him out there is going to be honestly better for Maryland, I'll say. I mean, Billy Edwards, he's a menace. Tush push McGee out there. You can boost this guy over the goal line better than Jalen Hurts, honestly. But I think he's a talented quarterback. He's young, not too experienced, but Auburn isn't really going to test him. Auburn is trash. These guys, the under is so free. Auburn's not scoring more than 10 points against Maryland. I mean, Maryland isn't that great of a team, but it's a nasty game, like you said, Chris. A nasty, nasty game. But that Maryland, I'm not even bothering with the points. I'm pounding the money line, and I am confident that that is a winner. Maryland is not losing this game. They don't lose to lesser opponents, and Auburn is a lesser opponent. I promise you that. The Big Ten clears the SEC. When you get a chance to put the scum of the Big Ten against the scum of the SEC, Big Ten's coming out on top every time. It's Terp season. Let's go for the Turtleheads.
I love it. I love it. So we've got to kick off the New Year Six Bowls. We've got Wisconsin and LSU. Wisconsin opens as a 10-point dog. And the over-under is 56. Brant, let's start with you. Where are you putting your money on this game?
I'm not sure it's one I really want to put money on. Although whenever you get LSU in a bowl game against a trash Big Ten team, LSU just beats the brakes off of them every time. Doesn't matter who's playing. We saw it against Purdue like 66-0 a few years ago. If I had to bet it, I'm taking LSU by 10. They just have more talent, even if probably a lot of their better players will opt out. I don't think Daniels is playing. I don't think Neighbors is probably going to play. I don't think that Brian Thomas is going to play. That's kind of their whole offense. But I mean, even their backups are probably more talented than what Wisconsin's going to be rolling out. Do I actually want to take this bet? Probably not. You never know what's going to happen. Luke Fickell might work some magic, but I think I'd probably lean towards LSU.
Yeah, 10's a lot. 10 is a lot, but I can see LSU covering that way more than I see Wisconsin winning this game or like keeping it close. So I just don't like this game very much, though. It's too many. The Wisconsin just I cannot trust them. Luke Fickell losing his starting quarterback and then finishing out the year and still being bowl eligible, which is great, but they just didn't look like the same team. And they came out stumbling. So I think I would have to lean LSU as well. But Chris, would love to hear your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, two big thoughts on this game. First off, absolute travesty. This still is not called the Outback Bowl. I feel like so many memories go up at the Outback Bowl. Really, a Quest Bowl just does not have the same ring to it. Big bummer. Second thought, where have I heard this story before? Luke Fickell is a large underdog going to play Brian Kelly. I kind of like Wisconsin here. I think for Fickell, this is a big statement at the end of the year to be able to get a bowl win. I think it's been a little bit of an underwhelming first year. And I think for Wisconsin, they don't have the opt-outs. They don't have guys that are top first round, second round draft picks. 10 just feels like a lot of points. I think you have a team that really has never gotten a flow with the playbook. I know they kind of had the air raid going for a while and it just didn't really work. And then they were trying to run the ball more once Mordecai got hurt. And what I've loved about these bowl games is it's really a chance for the coaches to kind of just deplete the playbook and just kind of throw everything out there that they haven't been able to use during the year, whether that's teams doing crazy wide receiver reverses where they throw or just whatever it is. I do think Fickell has enough in the bag to be able to cover 10 against a team that won't have Malik Neighbors, that won't have Daniels. I think LSU, their season was Daniels winning the Heisman. That was the goal and that was the reward. And I think for Wisconsin, 10-point spread in a bowl game, it's like, hey, let's go out there. Like, I think Fickell's good at covering spreads. I don't think they're going to go out there and embarrass themselves. I think they can keep it close. I know Fickell before, when he's been a large underdog, I know in the playoff game against Alabama, he was very good about just controlling the clock, not forcing anything too much and trying to just keep it a close game. I think Wisconsin holds it within 10.
I like it. I like it. Brandon, I wanted to keep you last because this is the team that sold you on your season win total at 9, and they just came up short. But how are you feeling about this bowl game?
I'm feeling like there's a playoff game featuring a Big Ten team, so I won't be betting this game. But if I had to go one way or another, I would probably go with Wisconsin with very little confidence as they burnt me too many times, and I don't feel like getting burnt one more time. I'll put my money towards the playoff game.
I love it. Brant, I'm going to turn to you for our next game as our resident Hawkeye expert. We've got Tennessee and Iowa. Iowa opening as a 6-point favorite in the over-under, 36. Are you taking it?
Oh, absolutely. We'll get to that in a second. So I just want to start off Tennessee. I mean, Iowa money line looked like the easiest bet of all time because this Iowa defense just goes off against dog shit quarterbacks. And Joe Milton might be the worst of all dog shit quarterbacks. But Joe Milton decided to opt out of this bowl game to go and be undrafted and go play in the XFL. Absolutely insane. Why is he opting out? Nobody knows. If any NFL team drafts him, all their fans should just stop being fans because you're just throwing a pick away. Anyways, that means that 5-star quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, I believe is how you pronounce his name, will be under center. Probably a bit more talented, but we haven't seen him play at the college level. This will be his really first action ever. That being said, it's a really, really tough test for a young quarterback playing his first game against this Iowa defense that seems like they're going to have really everyone out there other than Cooper DeJean, who had that season-ending injury. Still a very, very talented defense across the board. So you can keep the points. I'm taking Iowa money line still. I'm happy to take it. And under 36 is extremely free. Tennessee's not going to really put up many points with that quarterback making his first start against one of the better defenses. It's gonna have a Big Ten West feel to it. This game will, and I think Iowa's gonna win in the most Iowa fashion of all time.
I love it. I don't know if I can take the money line, but I do like Iowa +6. I think their defense, like Brant said, it's suffocating, and especially against a freshman quarterback playing his first game in a bowl game, I think it's going to be that much harder. But I still am not confident that Iowa can win football games. They just somehow do. They end up winning. So maybe I will take the money line. Maybe I won't. I might just take the 6 points for safety. But I love the under, like Brant said. This is going to be one of the best bowl games if you love Big Ten West football. Chris, would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, kind of just another disgusting matchup here. I think when you have the Cheez-It Bowl going on the exact same day as the playoff, just a wild contrary game events. I cannot touch the spread here. I'm not betting Deacon Hill in a bowl game. I know this Iowa defense is really good. I know they're playing a freshman quarterback. I still can't touch it. I think it's one of those things when you bet on an Iowa spread, it's like Tennessee can score 14 points. It might get out of hand. It might be insurmountable. I do like the under here. 36 is a ton of points. I think a lot of the people betting these bowl games are people that haven't been watching Big Ten West football this year, which gives another great advantage to an under in this game. I think under 36. I don't see these teams combining for that many points without turnovers or something, forcing great field position. So I would lean towards the under, and I'm not even going to give a pick on the spread.
I love it. Brandon, are you going to make it a pod bet and bet the under with us?
Oh, 1000%. You can't get more free than Iowa unders, boys. It's Iowa under. It's Iowa under. I don't care about the spread. I don't care about the money lines. It's Iowa under.
I love it. All right, now the game that we've all been waiting for. We've got Michigan and Bama in the playoffs. Michigan is a 1.5-point favorite, and the over-under is 45. Brandon, since you've been gatekeeping what you're going to do with this game, let's hear what the play is for the playoff game.
The disrespect to the Michigan Wolverines is just too great. Everyone's on Alabama. Everyone says Michigan's scared of Alabama. I don't think that's the case. I think Michigan matches up well with Alabama, and I think I'm going to not just put a unit on Michigan money line. I might put about 3 or 4 units on them. They are going to, for the first time in a long time under Jim Harbaugh, actually succeed in a New Year's Six bowl game. Give me the Wolverines.
Wow. Let's see what Brant has to say, because it looked like he was throwing up, but had his microphone muted.
Brandon, are you serious? Are you
1000%
serious right now?
As a heart attack. Yeah.
You're just
1000%.
taking your hard-earned money. You're on the clock right now.
Yep.
You're working hard, earning money.
Yep.
And you're just gonna throw it away like that.
Throw it into doubling my money, essentially.
No, that's insanity. That is absolutely absurd.
It's happening, bro. Yeah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Everyone say Michigan scared. Everyone who's saying that is 1000% correct. These guys are trembling at the fact they have to face a Nick Saban team in the playoffs who's heating up at the right time. I know it's a public bet to take Alabama, and I know that our good friend Chris would advise against it, but I simply don't care. I know Michigan's the more talented team. I know they've played more sound football throughout the entire season. But when you get to a point where you can bet on Nick Saban and against Jim Harbaugh in the playoffs at the same time,
it is a bad bet.
Just look at history. Nick Saban wins in the playoffs. Jim Harbaugh loses in the playoffs. It's that
Brant,
simple.
You're going to make me throw another unit on these boys.
Go ahead. I'm advising. I'm telling you what to do. And
all right.
It's how you make it. It's how you
make
it.
It's a 4-unit play, Brant. It's a 4-unit play.
Oh my goodness, brother.
I'm gonna get in here and stop before both of you go bankrupt. I'm gonna put 5 units on Alabama just because it has to. Like, as an Ohio State fan, I will never ever bet Michigan anything. But I have to bet the playoffs. It's the college football playoffs.
I like money more than I hate Michigan, boys.
But
that's horrible.
I don't think that Nick Saban is going to come unprepared to this game. just like he came to the SEC championship, he knows how to game plan against specific teams and get the job done. Like Brand said, I don't know if they're as talented or put together or a complete team as Michigan. Michigan is one of the, if not the most complete team top to bottom. But you also have to factor in the head coach. It's Nick Saban going to the playoffs. I think he's going to get the job done, and I'm going to take the money line. Obviously, I want to get the best odds, so I'm going to take Alabama money line, and I'm not going to touch the over/under. But Chris, I would love an unbiased opinion to hear where you're going to put the money for all of our viewers.
Before we go to Chris for
do it, Chris.
probably
do the right thing
on our pod, I would like to pose a question. Do we think that, I mean, we don't know where the man is, but do we think that Connor Stallions is working overtime to get some Bama lines for this game?
1,000%.
I did see that Nick Saban is not letting his players watch on individual game pads or like watch film because the software that they use apparently can be hacked. So none of the players have watched film on a personal tablet. It's all been scary.
But is it too late? It might be too late. They might already have the signs. We'll have to keep a close eye on those sidelines.
All right, Chris, wrap this up. Let's see where our viewers should put their money.
Do the right thing, Chris.
Might discuss some people here. This is going to be a true big bookie head-to-head. This is 2-on-2. First off, I think the slander on Jim Harbaugh has gotten absolutely out of it. This guy's won a Super Bowl.
Thank you.
He's a very good coach. He's coached in bigger games than this. I know at Michigan he struggled in the playoffs and had great games, but in a lot of those too, outside of the TCU game and these other bowls, he had the talent deficiency. I think he's built Michigan up from a place where the program really wasn't in a good spot. They had lost to Ohio State so many consecutive times, and I know he lost to Urban a lot too, but Jim Harbaugh really has done a tremendous job getting Michigan to the forefront of college football. I think Nick Saban's a great coach. I think he's a really great competitor, but I think it's one of those things of this is a weaker Alabama team. I hate to say it. I know Georgia, but everything in that Georgia game went Alabama's way. This is a team that we just talked about how icky and disgusting the Auburn game was. Auburn had these guys on the ropes, and the way Michigan plays football, where they run the ball a lot, they don't turn the ball over, and they have a good defense, that's usually something that's very consistent that sticks with a team game to game. It's hard to lose that. Alabama, to me, relies on a lot of larger plays. I think you need Jalen Milroe to play closer to what he has towards the end of the season than the beginning. We've seen kind of different, he's evolved and he's gotten better, but I don't know if I trust Jalen Milroe going against this Michigan defense. I truly think this Michigan defense is better than Georgia's defense. I think it goes along with what Brant said earlier of the SEC defenses have been a little bit overrated this year. And I think this Michigan defense is going to be the biggest test they face. I just look at it and I see 15% of the public on Michigan. Every person I saw for Christmas, whether it was me, Ma, my aunt, my uncle, I think everybody you talk to, they're on Alabama. Every person you talk to, it's Alabama's the play. Nick Saban with a month. And I think, you look at Michigan, you look at the team they've been able to put together this year, and really they've been unchallenged. I think even in that Ohio State game that was close, there was never a point in that game where I felt Michigan is going to lose this football game. And I think we get more of that in the Rose Bowl. I think Michigan takes an early lead. I think they're able to control the ball. And I don't think there's a point where we feel like, hey, Michigan might lose this game. Alabama is posing too big of a threat, just as we've seen this entire year. I do think this is Michigan's year where they go and they beat Alabama and they beat them handily. I think this could be a 7 to 10 point victory.
Quick question.
Meemaw knows ball. Meemaw knows ball. I'm siding with Meemaw.
Meemaw does not know ball. I'm sorry.
Is this team that much different than last year's team? Starting quarterback's the same. Are they more complete because they got to the playoff last year and there were a lot of mistakes.
McCarthy's more of a veteran.
McCarthy is very mistake prone. He just hasn't had to throw the ball much in really any game at all. Even the Ohio State game,
he might not need to in this game. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Only time will tell. That is going to be awesome. So we're looking forward to all the bowl games. But this will be live later today. Today is the 29th, so Friday. And then we'll send some bets out this weekend and get some of those bets on Twitter, so you can find us, Big Bookie BB. Brant?
One more lock before we go. We got some Big Ten basketball action tonight. Illinois under 93 points is minus 110 odds, which is absurd. Without Terrence, they just lost their 22 point per game score. Terrence Shannon, pound the under.
I love it.